We've got a special guest, Joie Seldon, who is here with us today, and she has an amazing background. And I'm really excited to learn. Not only is she an author, but she's a professional actor. She's been an acting coach. So please help me welcome Joie Seldon.
Mm.
Joie, how are you today?
I'm very good, thanks.
You mentioned you have a book. Can you tell us about your book?
Yeah, and it just dawned on me, you're decluttering inside. When you express these emotions and you let them out, and it can be your grief or anything, then you're actually cleaning up what's inside of you. And what people don't realize, it's fun. So this is my book. It's called Emotions and Owner's Manual, and it is on Amazon. You can get it in all versions. And the book is about, it is an owner's manual. Its emotions are a biological information system, and they're telling you what your relationship is to whatever it is that you're experiencing. And when you allow yourself to be present with your fear or anger or sadness, then you get information about what the meaning of this experience is. And you, as the adult, get to make a conscious choice. If you don't acknowledge your emotions, then they kind of run the show because they're going to keep showing up until you acknowledge them. That's the way they work. And so it seems intangible, and yet we experience emotions in our body. For example, sadness is a big one. You can cry a little bit, you can have some grief if someone passes or that kind of experience, but we have all kinds of losses. So sadness is about loss. Its essence is about loss. And so when you recognize, oh, I've lost an idea that was a great idea. I've lost a scarf that I loved. I've lost control of my home. There might be grief there. And so when you process that through and you feel that energy moves through you and you are cleansed from that experience.
So, if somebody was in a state of grief
Mhm,
and they're holding on to emotional attachments
mhm.
to a person that's
Yeah.
no longer with us, how do they feel that emotion in order to process it? Because grief has many different forms and it takes different amounts of time for different people.
It does. And I really recommend actually setting aside a specific time where you can sit with yourself and just invite the emotion to come forth. It may sound kind of silly, but that's what I do. I just sit and say, okay, what am I feeling? What is here? And you start to get to know the sensations in your own body. And like you said, it is different because we have different makeups, we have different personalities, we have different things that have meaning to us. But one of the things that helps people to know is that genuine grief is really a way of honoring the person or the thing that you have an attachment to by feeling that emotion, because we don't have grief about the loss of something we don't care about. So it has to do with value. And so when you recognize, oh, my feeling this grief and letting this go is a way of honoring that person or honoring this relationship, then I think it makes it easier to move through that. It's not about letting go of the person, it's letting go of the symbolism of that person.
And on the flip side of that, and this is a shout out to all of our friends who have ADHD.
Mm,
I know that as a house cleaner, and I've been training house cleaners for the last 32 years,
mhm.
one of the best ways that we have worked through grief, oddly enough, is cleaning. And I say that's a weird thing, but you're physically doing something,
Yes,
but you're alone with your thoughts. So
yes.
if you turn off the podcasts and you turn off the TV and the
Mhm.
distractions, but you are alone with your thoughts in that same meditative state that Joey is talking about,
Yes.
but you're doing something. And the something is movement. And I say movement because if you're cleaning something,
Mhm.
you will see progress at the end. If you're not a cleaner, that's fine. Put on a pair of running shoes and get outside and go for a walk, a brisk walk, like you're in a hurry to go somewhere. Because what happens as you're cleaning or as you're moving, you start circulating the blood and the oxygen through your body. And all of a sudden, endorphins start kicking in and you start to feel better while you're processing those thoughts. And Joey mentioned earlier something that I would love to ask about, and that's the energetic boundaries that are created. Because if you're afraid of your emotions and you're afraid of energy, then it's easy to either hang on to the wrong kind of energy or the wrong kind of emotions. And I don't mean wrong, they're all good if we process them, but hanging on to them in a way that's not advantageous for us is what I mean to say. And so, can you share with us a little bit about working with our energy in a state of healing instead of just being trapped and not knowing what to do with that energy.
Yes, and I love what you just said about movement because I always go to the body. If you wanna regulate your emotions, you go to your body. And you know how when somebody walks in the room that you really love, you perk up? You feel better, that person's around, and then other people walk in the room and you go, "Oh," you just you know, that's because that vibration that moves between us. And so this was the most valuable thing I learned in grad school is that we have aura. We have a field that emits around our body, an energetic field. And if you really stop and think about it, you can get in touch with that and you can actually pull it in with
Mm.
your imagination. When I did this exercise in one of my classes in grad school, I discovered that I had my boundary was way out. And so my neighbors were, I was always upset with my neighbors, or I was upset about this going on in the world. And I was always reacting to everything. And when I could pull it in, and I practiced this in my car, so that my car was my boundary, everything outside of it disappeared. It just like I wasn't bothered by it at all. And I became more aware of my own presence. So, one of the things people can do is just with your imagination, imagine you're in a bubble and it may be invisible to someone on the outside, but you're aware of it and you're going to pull it into about 3 feet around you, like an egg around you. And just feel that energy, feel the sense of your own self expanding out to that. But then there's this boundary. And it's very good if you're going to have a conversation with someone, a difficult conversation, to use this as if you sense this, there's this a boundary between you and the other person. And then just sit with that. I actually, you can sit in a chair and put a rope around the chair. Or I used to take scarves with clients and have them sit in the chair and then put a circle of scarves around like a circle so that they could imagine, oh, that's my boundary. And then
Mhm.
people would just go, ah, I could see them viscerally relax and they would start to feel into themselves. And that's where you have your most power.
Well, thank you so much. I am so excited that we had this conversation, and I'm going to really recommend that you get a copy of this book. I will leave links in the show notes. The chance for us to improve is worth the price of the Audible book and the book itself. And I don't want you to go through life and say, "Oh, I was so close. There were some solutions and I chinched out and I didn't get them." So don't do that.